Hey art nerds! Today, as part of my How to Draw Flowers series, we're going to learn how to draw a beautiful peony. We're going to be working from this reference here. I'll pop a link down in the description below where you can find the original source. So peonies are fairly complex flowers, and I tried to select one that would be fairly simple for us to draw today. So the materials we're using are simple. We have a Blick Studio watercolor notebook, sketchbook, sorry. We have a mechanical pencil, and we have a Sakura Pigma FB brush pen. My mechanical pencil has H lead in it, so a very hard lead that's going to leave a very light impression on the paper. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm starting by sketching kind of the basic gesture of the flower. So we have a circular shape here, and we're going to then break that down into the individual petals. So I'm breaking it down kind of into the major form. So it's like a jelly bean shape with a single petal breaking that jelly bean shape and extending, as well as the stem. Next, we're going to break the jelly bean shape down into the exterior petals. So I sketch a circle to show the inside of the flower, those roughly petals that are going to be the bane of our existence. Nah, they're not that bad. But you do want to slow down, take your time, and work heavily from your reference for this one. So now we're drawing those exterior petals. These are fairly simple to draw, and most have kind of a cup-like shape to them. And we're just going to work our way around the peony, not drawing too much detail, just trying to sketch in the basic gesture. You guys can see this is particularly sketchy. I'm trying to find the lines in the shape. So once you're satisfied with your exterior petal sketch, we're going to start sketching those more tricky interior petals. And what helps, because there's a lot going on, it's very easy to become overwhelmed with this one, is it helps to kind of take it slow, to try and break them down into simpler major forms, and to kind of try to work from the front to the back. So from petals that are overlapping to the petals that are being overlapped. Once I have those interior petals sketched, I'm going to sketch in a couple leaf forms. So I want to point out to you guys that this video has been sped up by about 2, so it's okay to take your time. Next, we're going to be inking with this Sakura Pigma brush pen. This is a waterproof brush pen, so you are going to be able to watercolor over this later. In fact, that is my next upcoming series. So one of the great things about brush pens is you're able to get really fine, delicate lines if you apply very little pressure, but if you bear down just a little bit, you can get much heavier lines. And these heavier lines are useful for the undersides of the petals where they might be casting a shadow onto the next petal underneath it. So as I did in my other How to Draw Flower tutorials, we kind of start with the petals that are overlapping other petals, and then we work towards the petals that are closest to the viewer. So we drew a couple of the more interior petals, and now we're going to be drawing a couple of the exterior petals. And I'm varying my line weight as I'm drawing. I'm also using kind of stop and go lines to create this sense of delicacy with the flower. And I'm also creating ruffled edges since our reference peony has ruffled edges. And I find that adding the ruffled edges creates this sense of organicness and delicacy to our flowers. So I'm a comic artist. I tend to cartoon things, and if I draw the lines too straight, then it really looks cartoony. So I'm not aiming for photorealism. I'm not aiming for this beautiful, light, airy, delicate illustration. I'm aiming to draw a peony in my style and show you guys some ways to think about flowers so that you can draw them in your own style. So now that we've got those exterior petals kind of inked in, we're going to work on the interior petals, and these are the tricky petals. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to keep my line weight a little bit lighter. I'm adding lots and lots of ruffles to them, and I'm just kind of taking my time and working slowly. So in a lot of my other how to draw flower videos, you guys noticed that I did striations on the petals. I added little soft lines on the petals as I went. But since I'm not very familiar with drawing peonies, I've drawn a few, but they're not like the flower I draw all the time, and they do tend to be kind of complicated. I want to kind of take my time, really look at my reference, and think critically about what I'm seeing and how my brain's interpreting that. So I've kind of slowed my roll a little bit, and I'm trying to kind of be more analytical about what I'm drawing instead of just going into autopilot. So one of the things I noticed about these interior petals of the peony is, as you guys can see kind of on the right hand side when my hand's not covering it, you do get some petals that kind of double back, very similar to the rose we drew a while back. So now I have the interior of my peony inked. I'm going to start working on inking those exterior petals next. So like we talked about, we're working on overlap. Things that are overlapping other things, we ink those first. I say that, but then I go in and I start adding those striations we talked about. These are going to give the viewer a sense of form. They're going to help us when we're watercoloring this to know where to add more shadow. And they also kind of contribute to that sense of delicacy that you guys see. They also indicate more contrast and shadow. So they're showing that these interior petals are more ruffled than the exterior petals are going to be. We've changed the angle just a little bit so you guys can better see what I'm doing. And now we're inking the exterior petals on the flower. If you guys enjoy my art and you want to see what I'm up to, you guys can check me out on Instagram at instagram.com/nattosoup. I post new art and I share new stories just about every day, and it's a great way to get an idea of what's coming up here on the channel. And if you like what you see and you want early access to those awesome things, you guys can join me on Patreon at patreon.com/nattosoup. Not only does your support help me continue to record videos like this one that anyone can access and watch for free, because I am all about that easy access, free access art education. I paid dearly for my MFA, but you guys shouldn't necessarily have to if you just want to learn how to draw. Not only do you get early access to videos like this one, and you help support the work that I'm doing, but you get backer exclusive access to printable line arts that you guys can color and color along with me during the live streams. And you also get access to my comic classes, some of my alcohol marker classes, and some of my watercolor classes. So it is a really great way to support the channel and to gain a little bit of extra art education for you. And while I was doing all that talking, I finished up our peony. The exterior leaves are easy compared to the interior leaves, and if you guys have been watching some of the other how to draw flower videos, it'll start to come together really easily. So now I'm sketching the stem and the leaves. So for this leaf here, I'm adding a lot of those striations because in the reference we have a really strong contrast between the very thin rim of that leaf, which is like a bright yellow green, and then the interior of that leaf, which is much darker. And then we have a longer leaf here that I'm also adding some striations to. So if you guys slow down, take your time, and think analytically, peonies aren't so hard to draw. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys again soon with another How to Draw Flowers video. Bye guys!